little bit more today about some of those options of how you can create a Google Meet, but I thought what better way than to actually experience it as a student as you learn through some of the different information today. So hopefully if this is your first taste of Google Meet, you'll feel more comfortable after today and maybe even use it in your own classes. Before we dive in, I do want to point out some things. As you entered the Google Meet, you could mute yourself or leave your microphone and video on. I just ask that you do keep yourself muted, and if you have any questions, you can ask them in the chat bar, which is on the right side if you don't need today. So that way we don't just have people interrupting, and then if we need to have a little bit of a chat kind of at the end, we can certainly do that, but I'll try and hit those questions as they fall into our presentation today. So I am going to go ahead and present my screen. Down at the bottom, I can click present now, and a couple options. I could present my entire screen, which is typically what I would do, but because I want to continue seeing you guys today, I currently have my screen split. On the left, I have the Google Meet itself, and on the right, I have my presentation put together that I'm about to share with you. So I'm actually going to select present a window, and I'm going to choose the window that has that Google Meet popped up. I'm going to click to look at all my Google applications. I'm going to click Meet. I can join or start a meeting this way by either using the join code, or I can type one. So when I did this, I just typed my last name. You could also do like the meeting date or whatever. And then once I hit continue, it'll just double check that I'm ready, and I will start that meeting. And then I'll also be able to add people to it. So this works if you're wanting to start a meeting immediately, but sometimes we want to schedule a meeting, and we definitely want to send out that information to a group of people. So like when I wanted to schedule this meeting with all of you and get it on your calendars, this is what I did. I went to my Google Calendar and I created an event. So I'm just showing you here how to do this. And if it's a staff meeting, I can schedule what time I want this to happen at. So let's say it's a 1 p.m. meeting, and for how long. This is where we add the Google Meet itself. So add Google Meet video conferencing. And that will automatically create a link where all of us will be able to get into that same meet. So it's already in your calendar, and just when the time comes, you have to go click that link that will be right on your calendar for you. This also sends a notification if I would like. And then I can add as many guests over here as I would like. So if I'm going to invite Brian to attend the meeting, I can just add that there, hit save, and it asks if I would like to send an invitation. I would recommend sending that invitation. So again, people can get that on their calendar if they'd like. For your students, you could have copied that link over and pasted it in your Canvas course, in your announcements on Canvas for that day, and anywhere else, so students can just click that link. That's going to be the easiest thing to do, and have it in a couple places, so hopefully everyone has no trouble getting into that Google Meet. You can schedule a meeting for up to 250 participants, so there is a limit. However, that's a large number, so you shouldn't have any trouble, even if you want to pull together a couple of your sections to do like one large meeting, but traditionally you're probably not going to go over your one class size. You do have the ability to mute during info and links. So I could easily just copy over my presentation link here and drop it down in the chat bar for all of you. So if anyone was wanting to follow along or have that to save for later on, I can drop it here, and I could certainly email it out later on as well. Any questions? I'm not seeing any pop up there. Okay. We're going to keep on moving here then. And our presentation is reloading. Hopefully it goes here in a second. While this is loading, if you take a look on your Google Meet screen, on the bottom right hand corner, if you are on your MacBook, you should have 3 little dots. These are some options for you. You can change like the layout of your screen, and this is where you would also access some different settings, like with your microphone and your video. So if you need to set those settings for whatever reason, you certainly can. Does it still show it's loading for you? Yay, technology. Technology is working for you, and you can use that time to see some friendly faces and maybe chat a little bit as well. Have your microphone muted. Remember, I can do that, but it's just a lot easier if you have that done already, so we don't hear any of the background noise. Your video is optional, it's not required. However, it is encouraged because it just seems a little bit more personal to have your face there, and we can connect and build those staff relationships a bit. But again, totally do not have to. So if something's going on, don't need to have that video. Thing we're missing from not being in the classroom. So using this tool can kind of help bridge that gap of what we are missing. So it might be optional meeting, or they might not get the, or they can, give a signal sometime in that time frame so that we were not overlapping with others. Students might want to Google Meet and ask questions every day or too often. So this can be a problem because sometimes students, because they know they can now do this, they might just skim over your directions, and they might not use the resources you're providing to them, and they start just relying on you explaining their work to them in a Google Meet individually every single day. Although this sometimes is nice, we don't want to be doing that every single time. We want students pick 2 hours a week, maybe Tuesday, Thursday, an hour each, that you're available to help students. Now, if that time doesn't work for one, problem that we see happen often is that students won't share answers, ask questions, or just speak up when you're asking them to share information during these Google Meets. So some ideas are to give them questions or talking points ahead of time so they can really think through and process, especially for some students that need more time for that. And another idea is to meet with your students in smaller groups. I'm sure there's more problems out there that are going to come up, and we can certainly work together to build a list of some solutions and tips and tricks as we progress through this. But here are just some that we saw come up as teachers were starting to use this last spring. The final thing I wanted to share with you today is just some ideas that we've gathered from other teachers that are using this or have used it already, and then also some we've found from tips from teachers from outside the district as well. So use a Google Meet to get to know your students and have them get to know you. This could be like a class kickoff, especially when you're getting a new group of kids. It could be really hard, especially especially if they're turning these things in and you're having trouble putting a face to the name. This can really help connect that, get to know them on a personal level, so that way you're really building those relationships. This can be a method of providing direct instruction with a presentation, just like we're doing here today. You can do this to demonstrate how to do something. So this might be with a tool on their iPad, you're demoing for them. It could also be a demo you might do in the classroom, like a how to measure dry ingredients demonstration. I know a lot of you are doing those kinds of things by recording videos and posting them, which is a Kahoot. One thing to keep in mind, these work a little bit smoother if you have a second device, or if the students have a second device. So if they are viewing the Google Meet screen and the Kahoot game on their iPad, it works a little easier if they have a phone or a second device to play the Kahoot game, answer the questions. Other review games might not need that, and there can be ways around it, but that is one thing to consider and kind of give in your directions for students. Fine. Here, keeping track of, which